Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie Bree, and today I'm having a bit of trip down the old memory lane to talk about a television program, or a family of television programs, under the banner Saved by the Bell. Saved by the Bell is a teen family sitcom from the 90s about a bunch of high school kids living their regular, everyday, imaginary California lives. But it didn't always start out that way. Originally, the show that would become Saved by the Bell started life as another show that only ran for like 13 episodes or so, less than a whole season, called Good Morning Miss Bliss. Good Morning Miss Bliss was not a runaway hit, but it had the makings of a runaway hit. And the network executives saw this, but realized they needed to revamp the series, which is what they did. They recast most of the teenagers and some of the adults, the teachers and etc., and sort of made some modifications, no longer taking place in the Midwest, but now taking place in Bayside, sunny California. And then the breakaway main characters of Zach Morris and his sidekick Screech Powers became the focal point of the new show, with new best friend / love interest Kelly Kapowski. They kept Lisa Turtle from the previous series iteration, Good Morning Miss Bliss, and they brought in a new woman, a young teenage girl, character named Jessica Spano, and they introduced a jock type character named AC Slater, who was a rival of Zach Morris. And so they totally revamped the show, and it was a huge hit. Airing on, I believe, NBC Network on Saturday mornings, and then later in reruns on TBS and elsewhere on afternoons after school for basically ever. Saved by the Bell lasted a few seasons, 4 or 5 seasons thereabouts, with some occasional shakeups in the cast and setting, some out of place, out of nowhere shakeups, like the summer resort episodes that just came up smack dab out of the middle of the blue, the Christmas Mall episodes that came up out of the blue, and the 2 made-for-TV movie spin-off tie-ins, Wedding in Vegas and something about Hawaiian style or something like that. But fans couldn't get enough of Saved by the Bell. So after the show more or less ran its course, the kids graduated high school, instead of roll credits, teary-eyed goodbyes, move on with our lives, we got a half-assed, failed follow-up, immediate follow-up, riding on the success and emotions of fans of the show who weren't ready to let it die, called Saved by the Bell, The College Years, which I'm just going to be upfront with you, didn't last very long because it had no business existing in the first place, and it's better off forgotten, not worth revisiting. Not even for the nostalgia trip. there's better ways to get doses of nostalgia than this. But because Saved by the Bell was still a huge ratings draw in reruns and syndication, the networks, recognizing that the college years was a dud, decided, alright, we're going to let go of the main cast and let them just go live their lives in fairy tale Bayside Land. And we're going to introduce a new cast, keeping Mr. Belding as the principal and bringing back Screech as, I guess, Belding's assistant for what became known as Saved by the Bell, The New Class. Which, again, was a short-lived, not tremendously well-received, but not as bad as people say, continuation of the Saved by the Bell saga, if you will. Now, recently, a couple of years ago, Peacock and their NBC partners kind of, sort of brought Saved by the Bell back for a sort of reunion series. I haven't seen yet. Just haven't, for whatever reason. Well, I don't have Peacock, that's the reason. But anyways, yeah. Fans were, from what I can read online, mixed over the Revival franchise series reboot, I guess. But it did its thing. It served its purpose, I guess. And we got a little more Saved by the Bell. Unfortunately, more than one of the main cast and or ancillary supporting cast have passed away since the original introduction of Saved by the Bell. Most notably is Dustin Diamond, the actor who played Screech Samuel Powers, who was in almost every episode of every iteration of Saved by the Bell until the remake, because he had already died by that point. Which is kind of sad. And non-spoilers, I guess, but I haven't seen the Peacock Revival series, so I don't know how they handled the Screech situation. So I haven't seen it yet, so please don't spoil it in the comments. But yeah. How did I discover Saved by the Bell? Well, honestly, I don't fucking remember. It just was like there. It was like always there. Saved by the Bell, or Good Morning Miss Bliss, came on the scene, I want to say 1990-ish, 91 maybe, if I'm not mistaken. And the revamped proper Saved by the Bell with Kelly Kapowski, you know, the goddess who was almost everybody's my age's first crush. If you're being honest with yourself, I said almost everybody, maybe not everybody, but she was a lot of people's first crush. Played by Tiffany Amber Tyson, who also appeared on another teen show we don't talk about on this channel for various reasons I don't want to get into today. Anyways, I don't remember the first time I watched Saved by the Bell. I don't remember the first episode I watched. It was just sort of there. It was always a part of my life. I have no first memory of Saved by the Bell. The earliest memory that I can confirm that is Saved by the Bell is when I was in 3rd grade. I remember watching one of the episodes about Screech. It was his birthday party, and his robot friend was there, and that's all I remember from that episode. I remember the episode. I've seen it since then. I have the series on DVD. But, I mean, that's all I remembered is that. Just watching that one episode. I remember coming home from school and that episode was on. I don't know why that stands out in my mind. Probably because I had a robot, I guess. And I just kind of feel like I did watch new episodes air on Saturday mornings. I remember that. I remember getting up to watch, Saturday morning cartoons, and then Saved by the Bell, and then, American Gladiators, and whatever else came on Saturday morning on the TV. And then I remember watching it in reruns on TBS, specifically. It may have ran in reruns elsewhere, but I watched it on TBS. Now, I have seen everything up to prior to the revamped revival series. So I've seen all seasons of Good Morning Miss Bliss, all episodes and seasons of Saved by the Bell, the classic series, all seasons or episodes of the college years, and the new class. I've seen them all. I watched them all as they aired when they were brand new and in syndication and over the years on like DVD and things of that sort. So, I kind of have pretty solid experiences with Saved by the Bell. If you watched my Boy Meets World retrospective, I kind of talk about how Boy Meets World is sort of broken up into 3 separate phases or 3 separate shows under the same umbrella. This is kind of sort of true with Saved by the Bell, obviously. It's a little more like pseudo-officially disjointed because you have Good Morning Miss Bliss, which was later Saved by the Bell, the junior high years, and then Saved by the Bell, and then college years, etc., etc. But it's also got some internal disjointedness that is very confusing to new fans to the series who don't have experience with it or didn't grow up with it. Because you will be literally in the middle of a storyline. One episode, they're in high school, they're doing, I don't know, prom or whatever, Bayside girls' calendars or something, some kind of fishy Zach Morris scam. And then the next episode, out of the blue, they're on a beach somewhere in the summertime working jobs somewhere with this new character you've never met and her obnoxious asshole dad who you immediately grow to hate. And then you're like trying to get invested in this side quest. But then the very next episode, they're back to high school. And it's back to regular hijinks. And then it just sort of bobs back and forth between the 2 storylines. Which is very disjointed. Very confusing. They do this a lot on Saved by the Bell. It gets worse. In the later seasons, they introduce a new character. I believe her name was Tori, if I remember correctly. And they had the other 3 girls. Lisa, Kelly, and Jessie. But I believe Kelly and Jessie left. And by the way, I don't watch the later seasons as much as I rewatch the early seasons. So I'm way more well versed in the first 3 or 4 seasons. The later seasons, not so much. But they filmed enough episodes with the girls before they left. Before they brought in Tori and started plugging her episodes in as, filler. So again, you would have an episode with the main cast telling the main storyline. And the next week you would have an episode that was, I would classify as a side quest with, a Tori storyline, which had no relation to the Kelly and Jessie episodes because those characters had already been written off the show, so they didn't exist in the mythos of the show. The characters didn't even acknowledge that they had ever existed. But then the next week they were back, and it was like Tori didn't exist. It's really fucking confusing, and it's really disjointed. And it's really frustrating. They should have let the various storylines run their course and then introduce the new storylines instead of doing the, hot potato back and forth. That's very, very disjointed, very dizzying, I will say. Makes me dizzy. Whiplash. It gives me whiplash. Ugh. Very jolted, disjointed. Jarring, that's the word I'm looking for. Very jarring. Very frustrating and annoying. And so, what you end up with is a hot fucking mess of, like, random, awesome episodes of the greatest television you've ever seen in your life, interspersed with huge, tremendous, what the fuck am I watching episodes that are some of the worst TV you've ever seen in your life. It's that confuddling of a show. Because it is equally the greatest thing of all time and the worst thing of all time simultaneously. I don't know how they pulled it off, but they did. And there really is no, quote, jump the shark moment, because they jumped the shark immediately in season 1, where they did this whole gotcha, fuck you, audience. We changed our minds. This is actually the storyline. Shuffle, remix, bullshit right off the bat by jumping mid-season episode 1, shuffling the episodes around so that a mid-season episode aired first that already had Zach and AC Slater fully well established as rivals. And then you go, I'll just say several episodes in, which in the 90s, when this is airing concurrently, week after week, that's like a month or more of your life devoted to getting to know AC Slater as one of the main characters. And then you turn the TV on one Saturday morning, and all of a sudden, they're introducing the new kid, AC Slater. And you're like, but he's been here the whole time. What in the fuck is going on? So they did this fucking with your expectations and fucking with your emotions from fucking day one. Not to mention the fact that itself was a fucking with your emotions and expectations, because all it was Good Morning Miss Bliss dressed up in new clothes with a new name, but they got rid of Miss Bliss because whatever. And so now it's like, if you had been watching Good Morning Miss Bliss and had become invested in that show, one day during its time slot, you turn on the TV and it's Bayside, it's Zach Morris, it's Screech Powers, but who's this weirdo? Who's this Kelly Kapowski? Who the fuck is AC Slater? What's going on? Where are the characters I'm used to? And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, where's Miss Bliss? And why is it called Saved by the Bell? And what's this new song? Why does it have a new theme song? And then the season runs its course, and you come to terms with it, make peace with it, because it's a good show. And then it goes into reruns in the summertime while you're waiting for new episodes. And all of a sudden, the new episode, quote, new episode pops up, but instead of a new episode with Zach and friends at Bayside doing what Zach and friends do, it's little boy Zach and baby Screech in junior high with some girl named Miss Bliss you either forgot about or didn't know about, now remixed with the Saved by the Bell theme song, retroactively added back, called the junior high years. And you have an intro scene with Zach Morris, who's now looks like he's 36, telling you about the good old days when he was in 7th grade. And it's so fucking disjointed. When this show aired initially in its first run, it was a hot fucking mess. Even trying to watch it today on streaming, you have to have online streaming guides where blog posts or YouTubers or other people tell you this is the correct order to watch the episodes in. If you want a cohesive or semi-cohesive story that doesn't give you whiplash. Unfortunately, none of those guides have a consensus as to which order you should watch the episodes, because they still don't work. It is a disjointed show, and there's nothing you can do to fix it. Nothing. It is that broken of a show. Still great. fantastic. One of the greatest teen sitcoms of all time. Up there with Boy Meets World. Might even in some ways surpass Boy Meets World, but I don't know, that might be blasphemy to say. I don't know. Saved by the Bell is a lot of fun. Likewise, not only do you have a revolving door of cast who come and go as they please, which is confusing and very gut-wrenching to a young kid who's trying to follow, you know, their favorite characters on TV, and they're like, where's so-and-so? Oh, wait, who's this? Oh, I guess. Okay, never mind. Wait, who? What? Yeah, very confusing. But then the settings change. All of a sudden they're in a shopping mall and it's wintertime. All of a sudden they're at the beach and it's summertime. All of a sudden they're at Las Vegas and they're having a wedding, but also all of a sudden they're in Hawaii and there's also another wedding and or more drama. It's like, what is happening? Never mind the fact that in some seasons the Max is the place to be. In other seasons the Max doesn't exist or get acknowledged. In other seasons, they have another hangout. It's just so confusing. In one random episode in the middle of nowhere, there's celebrity rock stars. In another episode in the middle of nowhere, there's supermodels doing drug PSAs for television. In another episode, random episode in the middle of nowhere, they're at a shopping mall, scalping tickets to a U2 concert or something like that. I mean, my God. As much as I love Saved by the Bell, and I do, it's a hot fucking mess. There are individual, standalone, isolated episodes that you can pull out of Saved by the Bell and set aside that are some of the greatest television you're ever going to experience. But as a whole, start to finish, Saved by the Bell is a goddamn mess. A hot fucking mess. Not necessarily a steamy pile of dog shit, because as a whole, it's still enjoyable. Even the disjointed episodes are still funny or fun in their own ways. They're just disjointed is all. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying you're going to get fucking whiplash. That's all fine and well. You have the weddings, you know, they grow up, they get to go get married, go to college. We try not to talk about the college years. We try to forget about the college years. We would give anything to have a blend in black flashy thingy that could take those episodes out of our brains. Permanent. But since that technology doesn't currently exist and or the aliens haven't shared it with us yet, I'm stuck with the knowledge of the college years. So, there's nothing good about the college years. There's not a redeemable episode in the entire lot. None. It was, I don't know, I guess, following in the footsteps of Friends, just like Boy Meets World did, introducing, you know, 20-something cast, young, mid-20s actors, you know, good-looking people to the cast to try to, quote, mix it up and be hot and fresh and edgy and whatever the term of the day was. But it failed, on all accounts. The Dude Bro, Beefhead, Meathead, Beefsteak, whatever the fuck his name was, I don't know, teaching assistant or whatever the fuck his role was, the big, buff, muscular mountain of a man, was an obnoxious bullshit character. Can't even be bothered to remember his fucking name or what his role is in the show. He was just an obnoxious dude, bro. No thanks. Hard fucking pass. The other new characters introduced in the college years, so forgettable I couldn't even tell you what they were, who they were played by, what they looked like, or what their personalities were. So goddamn forgettable. Now, I have to put a point of clarity in front of this next segment. I did not hate the new class when it was new. I actually remember enjoying some episodes of the new class. But the new class has been permanently buried. It has never been re-released in syndication. It has never been released officially on home media, DVD, VHS, etc. And it is not currently, to my knowledge, available streaming anywhere legitimately. Whoever was involved with the new class has gone out of their way to bury it. So I cannot, in good conscience, recommend it one way or the other, watch or not, because I don't remember it enough to be able to say, and I can't currently access it easily to be able to rewatch it and make an informed opinion. I can't, because it's not fucking, it doesn't exist. It's like, yes, it did literally happen, but at the same time, our society has collectively agreed that, yeah, it actually didn't happen. Let's pretend it didn't happen. And I don't understand why. But because of that, I can't revisit it, which means I can't properly discuss it. Unfortunately, that's where the story ends, because I have yet to see the Peacock series, and honestly, I don't know if I ever will. That's all I gotta say. Stay cool.